Welcome to the Taproom Exclusive. I'm Dean Zarbaugh. I'm here at Forest City Brewing Company. We are sitting down with Jim Waltz and Jay Demagall. Jim, you are the brewer here for Forest City. Talk a little bit about your brewing history. How'd you get into it, and what brought you to Forest City?
I got into brewing via actually wine.
Okay.
Was graduated from Kent State, years ago, got a business degree. That was not for me in life. So I was working in restaurants and got into wine. And the thing with wine is the more you know, the less you know.
Right.
So I wanted to go back to school for it and really kind of understand it. So I found a little school down in North Carolina that had a 5-acre vineyard on the back of the school.
Oh, wow.
And being married with a newborn, like going to Cornell or going to UC Davis was not an option. So we went to we moved down there, and they had a full viticulture program. You spent time in the vineyard and time in the winery. So that's where I started in the alcohol industry, was actually through wine. And then from there, you kind of learn fermentation. You understand how fermentation works. And we were in the sticks of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So Charlotte was just starting a beer scene.
Gotcha.
Old Mecklenburg was brand new, and I think there was maybe one other brewery. We were up in Mount Airy, so Winston-Salem was about 45, 50 minutes away. Charlotte was an hour, and Asheville, was 2 hours away. Yeah. So it just kind of made sense. So we started a little brewery on the vineyard. So when people would come up, we had a place to
nice.
to have beer there. So that kind of introduced me to brewing down there. And once you kind of get into fermentation, you're interested in production. And we ended up moving home. I ended up getting into distilling, kind of self-taught on distilling, and worked in distilling for a little bit, and then went to New York to start Southern Tier's Distillery.
Oh, nice.
So that was a couple years ago. So when I went there, they had a big old still, about 300 empty barrels. And so I went up there, and we were living up there for a while, and it was great. Loved working up there, but the snow is not fun.
Yeah,
it's beautiful for a few months in Western New York.
Yeah.
And I'd been in touch with Jay just through mutual friends and stuff.
Okay.
And then he had reached out that they were looking for someone, and we were kind of looking to get ready to move back. And the thing I love and what I was excited about just working for Jay is we were just a small neighborhood pub. It's not a corporate brewery whatsoever,
Right.
So for us, it's exciting for me because there's a lot of freedom to brew, since we're not kind of confined to a lot of having distributors. Just since we brew, we tap what we make here and keep it in house. We can kind of really play and kind of do whatever. So it was great, and just kind of as a small business person working through that, it was just a great opportunity to come kind of start this off with Jay and grow the business and kind of grow together with it.
Well, and today it's really hard to get on shelves, and why deal with that whole headache if you don't have to, and you bring everybody to you.
Well, it's interesting because we get a lot of questions about it's a crowded brew scene in Cleveland, and people ask, but the couple points I always make to them are each brewer brews has their own style of brewing, right? Mm-hmm. You could ask each brewer to make chocolate chip cookies, and you're going to get a different chocolate chip cookie from everybody.
Absolutely.
So there's a variety out there, even though there's a lot of places to visit. But there's different levels and different tiers. We're excited to be a neighborhood pub. Mm-hmm. Like a place that people walk to in the neighborhood. Absolutely. And we do have goals down the road to go, but we as more of a self-funded kind of growing organically type of place. It's nice because there's I kind of give the example sometimes of, in our general area, your Great Lakes and your Market Garden are up here in production and scale and stuff. And then us and Brick and Barrel and some of the smaller are down here with what we do and the volume that we brew and stuff. Then there's like everybody else like in the middle fighting for that same stuff. So it's interesting just because, our place is just real unique given the history of the building, and Jay knows, all about that to fill in on. But, to us it's cool because we're just kind of trying to really be a true neighborhood pub.
Absolutely.
Where something's different. When people come in, everyone gives us their feedback. Oh, we love this, brew that again.
Right.
And we listen because we're literally right there. So when I come in and Jay or the bartenders are talking to people, we'll brew stuff one off, and I have no idea how it's going to come out.
Right.
And, some of these things I throw in a barrel, and I think it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I think the recipe will be good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and so it's cool when we come in and people are like, "Oh man, that was great," and so we put it on the list and we'll try, make sure we make it again. So those are kind of the fun things about the smaller production style breweries.
Absolutely. And so what's this first beer we're getting into? Tomahawk? Is that?
Yeah, Tomahawks are Belgian Tripel. Should I give you all the?
Ooh, that's nice.
All the details. So we kind of just a general overview. I mean, we do a lot of traditional style beers with the, we put our twist on them and give them their own little character. But, European beers are something we really like to make. We set up a lagering system. So we make our German beers, our Bocks, and we make our Oktoberfest. And then we do an array of Belgian beers, too. Just enjoy the style of Belgian beers, and you can have a lot of fun with them. So, yeah, the Tomahawk we do a lot of baseball-style names for beer. So, being a Belgian Tripel, Jay's history with baseball and the softball warrior through the years and stuff. The Tomahawk, the nickname? Yeah, Jay's nickname. So that's where the name comes from, but it's just
nice.
It's really meant to just be a classic triple. I mean, it's Pilsner malt.
Yeah.
It's got the Saaz and Goldings hops, and just kind of your traditional. We didn't kind of go crazy for that one, but it's a higher gravity, so it just taps over just 8%.
It's pretty smooth. It's nice.
Yeah, one thing we really try to pride ourselves with in the brewing, even I think we do high gravity beers very well. And the thing I always try to go for with high gravity beers is just to achieve balance with it. Mm-hmm. Working in distilling long enough, I know what a burn feels like. What an alcohol burn feels like, especially when you're sampling off of a still. Mm-hmm. And that's not what the goal is. I like it when people say it's sneaky alcohol.
Yeah.
I want it to be flavor forward and flavor driven. And then, when you go to stand up or you go to have another one, that's when you feel it. Not your first kind of initial taste is where you think, even we have some beers that go up to 10% and no one has ever said, wow, this, they're
it
like,
tastes like 10.
Yeah. They're like,
this
is 10%.
Compliment.
You're like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal in the higher gravity ones.
I would never have clocked it at that, just from the especially the clean finish on it is really cool.
Yeah. That it's another one of those that we keep it around. It does come off the beer list from time to time, just in our rotations of things. And every time it's off, somebody's always,
where'd that go?
Where'd it go? When's it coming back? So that's kind of like our Tomahawk. But
then that's how you got to hit beer.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice too not to keep it on all the time.
Yeah.
So people are looking for just to make it a bigger deal when it does come back.
I found we were packing up my grandmother's house, and we found an old booklet. Her uncle had fought in World War II, and we found like a folder of like his entire journey.
Okay.
And he'd spent time in Belgium, and he ended up, when he got discharged, was in Pilsen.
Okay.
And so I'm like, that's probably why I like European style. Right. I got it from him.
You got it there, right.
It was really cool. I never knew some of these things, but then you find out, and it's like, I really want to go there now like feel that connection when he was there and drink some really good beer. Have you ever been over there?
No. You know what? My dad was stationed in Germany in the 60s. In the Army.
That was my grandpa was too.
Yeah, and we, as a young lad just out of Oklahoma, did jump into the military and get shipped over to Europe and living in Berlin and stuff. One of my goals would be I'd love to go back over there for the first time and like just go drink beer with him, go drink beer with him, and go to Munich and go to all these places and just really get the vibe. So on the bucket list.
Yeah, I love this beer. What was it about a triple itself that inspired you to brew it? Did you have a lot of experience doing that before here? Do you just is that a style you like to drink yourself?
Any of the Bell we make doubles, we make triples, we make quads. We kind of run the gamut of it. It's a style we like. The style fits the vibe of our place, you know. So we try to brew beers that we like, but we think that will kind of just fit who we are. So when people come in and try that beer, they are going to really kind of connect with the style of our beer list and who we are. So, anything Belgian, man, we just like the style. I mean, because they're flavor driven, you know, and it's not just necessarily always hop driven, right? You know, between what the yeast gives it in character and some of the malts, you're using different malts, you know, between your biscuit malts and some of the other malts. For us, it's fun, just to kind of play around with flavor without, you know, having to go to left field to try to draw flavor in with some things. It's just sometimes just using a simple malt change or simple hops in a cleaner style beer that shows that stuff off is a cool style to kind of make with it.
And, you know, there's not a ton of this style out there being, you know, widely made, and it's nice to kind of, it sets you apart from everything else that's out there, all the IPAs and all the hops and stuff. And there, you know, there's nothing against I drink an IPA every day, but you know, it's nice to be able to go somewhere and know that this can be made too.
Well, it's funny because like with all, you know, one of the reasons I got into brewing was you have creativity. So like when you're into wine, there's not much creativity.
Right.
The vineyard makes the wine, the area makes the wine, the soil makes the wine. You just don't try to mess it up. You get it in, you bottle it, you know, you filter it, you do some stuff to it, you barrel age it or something. And so with brewing, that was fun for me because there was a creativity to it. And then you kind of have like a blank check in a way to, let's experiment with this, let's experiment with that. Distilling was kind of the other thing that got me into it. Was distilling can be very boring in a way. I mean, you could use corn, wheat, rye, two-row, and then you make something, you know. And so when I went to New York, part of the thing I wanted to do was experiment and have fun. And then when I came back here to brew, and everyone's trying to create and do different things, we were kind of like, maybe we could just make beer. Like maybe we could just make some good tasting classic beer. There's definitely some beers we do that have a taste to it, and you know, some different stuff. But overall, it was just kind of like, let's just make beer. You know, good clean beer. And you know, we throw stuff on from time to time. We have a couple beers that are a little crazy flavor wise that we were literally just having fun with. But most of all is just, man, let's just make some good clean classic beers that kind of show us our style and what we, you know, who we are. And people like it. So it's kind of it's kind of nice. I'm the same way. I mean, it's easy to dog on IPAs just because they're so popular, and I think everyone's always waited, when's the bottom going to fall out? And it hasn't. You know, it's just different styles keep coming out. You know, but I don't mind putting IPAs away for 6-7 months. I was around here when the weather, like I love winter beers. I love winter beers and my fall beers. And as the weather's changing and spring's coming back, right. You get a lot of great gray sky beers.
Snowing in April, awesome.
But you know, when the season comes around, and then I'm, you know, definitely in the mood to have like an IPA, and stuff, you know, stuff like that. But
moods change.
It is, and we kind of, I don't know. I mean, there was jokes in wine industry that you could always hide a bad wine with sugar. You know, and we always kind of joke with IPAs that it's like, if it's not good, just make it more hot. You know, and it's just kind of a way we joke. But there's so many good IPAs and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
You're always after them, but you do kind of laugh because I mean, there's a couple times where we're down to like 1 or 2 on the beer list, and people freak out. Oh yeah, you know, and it's just like, we've got. You know,
try other things.
Well, yeah, so we're like, try some other stuff. But it's just, you know, the first question is, you know, what's your IPA? And so we usually keep, you know, 2 to 3 on out of like the 9 beers we keep on tap. And, you know, depends what season it is. It might, you know, right now with the spring and baseball starting off, you know, I think we've got 4 or 5 on right now.
Nice.
From a black IPA to a session IPA to our double I. Yeah, we just kind of got our stuff ready. So we do make them, and we do like them, and we make good ones, but we try to round it out too.
Right. It's funny. A lot of the brewers I've talked to in doing this show, it's funny to note how consumers go out and try a new brewery. The first thing they want to try is like an IPA.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask a brewer, generally they're going lager, pilsner, something.
Oh, Kolsch is
cleaner.
Kolsch is the best.
Yeah.
Well, you can't hide in a Kolsch.
And then but that's what you're getting
You
into.
can't
what
hide
you were
in a
talking.
Kolsch.
There's no way to hide behind the hops.
If you walk into a brewery and they have a Kolsch and they
That's
do
the
it,
first thing.
you know they can brew.
Yeah, and it's funny to see how two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like everybody wants to try like the latest IPA, and I
Right.
do too.
Oh yeah.
And then, but give me a good Kolsch or a Pilsner or a lager any day,
Yeah.
or a triple.
Yeah, that's what we do our Bach beer, our Burgerhorn Bach, and I, again, being a smaller place, that we don't really have schedules that meet all this, so we kind of can brew at our leisure. So if we want to leave something in for a month and let it go and then age it and so that's kind of what we do with our lagers, and by far they're the cleanest. That's my favorite style of beer, German malty beers. I mean, I love those styles of beer. So to be able to make them here and have them out, but you get why in some of the bigger places when they can't keep fermenter space held up and bright tanks held up. They got to, so you get it. But that for us, it's just kind of nice because we can, and they make really good beers, and there's just nice, balanced, malty, traditional, beers, and so we're coming out of that season, which is the only bad.
Right.
But I'll give it up to get some sunshine and some nice weather and be able to sit in our beer garden with some nice spring summer beers.
And we got some pretzels delivered to us as well here. And I'd had it with this. If anybody wanted to take this beer home with them and eat at home, or eat here, what would you say other than maybe the pretzel here, which is fantastic? What would you say is gonna pair well?
What's gonna pair well with the beer?
With the tomahawk.
Oh, the tomahawk. Probably our hummus and chips platter would pair.
Ooh, nice.
Pair pretty well with that. But a big pretzel will pair well with anything.
Yeah,
that's my motto. But we have a hummus and chips. So we get all of our food from the West Side Market.
Oh, very nice.
So we get the hummus from the Jacob's Oasis out there, and we're good friends. They're nice, small, local business vendors, Cleveland vendors. We try to support all that kind of stuff in the community.
Yeah, that's what I love about this industry is the support that you guys give to everybody around you.
Yeah.
Very awesome work that you guys do. That's awesome. Not a lot of people outside of this industry understand how much you guys give back to the community around you. I mean, without this community, you guys wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to get out about the Tomahawk before we head out to cover the next beer?
The Pomme de Tom, I think, is next.
Yeah.
No, let's jump into the Say Something.
All right. Tune in next week as we get into the Pomme de Tom.